work all summer to grow corn to feed the cattle all winter. Oh, after it got dark, we just a little boy and there were several kids there, and we all played around.
In order to make molasses, you need an awful lot of sugar cane. Like that in this field on J.P. Campbell's farm in Albany, Kentucky.
J.P.'s mother Hope gave us numbers for earlier Stiroffs.
I think they put 100 gallons of juice and made 15 gallons of molasses.
Ready to do it.
No, you stay away from it.
I'm holding it. I'll get the big bucket.
Leave that right there. Where's that?
What is it?
Gary, just give that thing like 2 shots.
It's made in
Daddy, I'll go with you.
You also need an engine and transmission to drive the rollers that squeeze the cane and produce the juice.
Yeah.
So I see
Yeah, they're not sleek.
stuff.
Since the mill hasn't been used for a year or two, it has to be washed out before you can put cane to it. Here Randy is throwing water in the mill until the outflow runs clear instead of dirty.
Remember that? Hope they had a fermented can in a gallon jug, molasses, and you had to open the top of it. How many you did? I went with Marlin and
This machine is the handiwork of Jesse Campbell, Randy Campbell, and J.P. Campbell, who bought, built, assembled, and engineered it.
While Randy and others are feeding cane into the mill, J.P. is peeling a stalk for a visitor to taste. As the juice runs down into the bucket, it runs through a strainer that catches solid pieces.
No, that's okay. We'll strain this again through probably a pillowcase or something before we put it in. Don't put no more in. Don't put no more in, Jeremy.
Okay.
Tell me about that tool you're using.
That's part of a saw blade they've cut, mounted in a hammer handle.
Okay, but is that, now would that be kind of an imitation of something they might have used 100 years ago, or?
I'd say, yeah. It kind of looks like a tobacco knife to cut tobacco with.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they've made it.
I notice you mostly strip off the leaves before you actually cut the cane. But some of you do it differently, right? But it's easier, is it, if you get most of the leaves off first?
It's easier to strip it and then cut it down.
Yeah, okay.
The first load of cane being backed up to the mill. And the first stalks being fed into the mill.
that's it right there, right there. They've been around David. That's all right, right? If you drink, you can't find no water.
I was told that the ratio is about 10-to-1, juice to molasses.
Can we get you a cup of that to drink? This mill, I don't know how old it is. My cousin bought it. I'm sure at one time it was operated with a mule and a pole, you know. And he bought it from the Griffey people on line 4. They had a Honda, front end of a Honda car on out here where the transmission is. And we used that for 2 or 3 years, and it got where it wouldn't run. And so we converted it, put a transmission on it, and hooked it up on the piece of a tractor. When we got the mill, it didn't have these sprockets on it either, and we had to slow it down. So this big sprocket came off of a piece of mining equipment. Well, both of them, the big and the little, and the chain. And that's how we rigged it up to slow this down. You have to run it slow so it won't sling your juice everywhere. But that's about what they are to it.
Okay, now when you were in the days when you were using mules, how much of that would have been there if you were using mules?
Just this, just this mill, and it had a thing on top of it that you laid the pole in. None of this other stuff was been on just the mill itself. The sprocket wasn't there. You just had a thing to lay the pole in. Fasten the pole to it, you know. Nothing else was with it.
Okay.
And it turned a lot slower with a mule, you know. It was slow going. We speeded it up some.
Okay. So it would have taken a lot longer in the old days to process this much cane.
It would have took all day to do what we've done, you know, squeezing it.
Yeah.
Just squeezing the juice out, it took all day probably with a mule.
Nothing goes to waste in this process.
I want you to get all his muscles.
JP will use this spent cane to mulch his berry patch.
Well, they like using that cane. Before we started using the tractor, we had a little old Honda engine, and Honda Civic, and we spent 30% of the time squeezing cane and 70% working on it.
Wow. Tell me about
What
it.
I'm doing, Nana, is putting clay in all these seams and around the pan. That's to hold the heat in, keep the smoke from coming out in your face, and you know, just seals the pan off. And
we want to get JP to just talk about anything.
Okay, that's great.
yeah, this
This is okay.
the clay, the mud dries out and cracks, and you have to go back over it some, move your,
Jeremy.
seal it back up, you know, keep the smoke coming out on you when it dries out.
How did you know how to do this?
Well, we just learned from old timers tell us what to do and how to do it. Something we always wanted to do growing up, never did get a chance. Of course, we'd go to Stiroffs, you know, online for old people to have them. And we just decided we'd do it. Me and JP, my brother, and Jess Campbell. We've been doing it for several years. You know, just trial and error mostly.
It takes a hot fire to boil the water out of the juice.
Where you going? I want a basket of coffee. If you got some farmers you can bring.
A stir-off isn't all business and work. It's also a social event. A tradition in these mountains for centuries. Hours of dipping and scooping and skimming.
I guess I need to get out of your way.
Oh, that's fine. That's great.
He tell you about taking her to the bank early in the 50s. Yes, she said, you take me to the bank.
This day, there was, as is the custom, a feast of sauerkraut, shucky beans, soup beans, onions, tomatoes, cornbread, and peach and cherry cobblers.
Yeah, we got a lot of fire under it right now. At this stage, you can boil it. You can boil it hard, but it's a close.
Sawmill, big old sawmill. He had a big time with, you know, he always was.
Ready?
Yeah, thanks.
Turn it around, on around. There you go, sir.
And I probably met her. Oh yeah, they're large.
See now what comes out of that.
You know, he
Oh yeah, hold on a second.
I spent 5 or 6 years ago. Hot with that. That's all right.
It's been a whole new occupation.
Yeah. I hear it.
Varmint known to man just worked on me this year.
Do what? Pat?
Our hips are going to sea.
Is that right?
Yeah, they may be enough through there for one boil.
Yeah.
But that smells good, don't it? Oh, you remember.
Well, which one? I've just got
He's an
E4.
E4 too, or E41.
I've got E4.
He works on day shift. I want to build it up. Can't even stand around it.
I like to do that when you first start, but now when it gets like this, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
The foam turning a beautiful amber gold.
You're doing good, man.
Side that, John.
Yeah. He said, I was hoping to have you leave.
If we'd have had good wood, we'd have been done with this for 2 o'clock. 1, 2, 3. Keep it level. If it sloshes on one end or the other, you're in trouble.
Downhill.
Hold that up there.
No! Stop. Look at
Settle down right there. That's what you got to watch. This time, Dean.
Can you tell how many? Any guess about how many gallons?
I'd say there's 10 gallons there anyway, ain't
Is that right?
Yeah. Nah, that's okay now. Yeah, don't dirty it up.
The finished product, 10 to 12 gallons of beautiful molasses,